my wife was from a broken family as well. Her parents was divorced, but yet she was living with her mom, and she took care of her mom starting at 12 years old. So we got together, and we got married. That was one of the bright times of my future. Got married, and my younger son, my oldest son came to live with us at 2 years old, as well as my mother-in-law, because she was going through a spiritual battle mentally. So she had to live with us. So my mother-in-law's living with us. My younger son, because we didn't have younger kids at that time, and then mom is going through this. I mean, man, it's just all of this is happening, and so my sisters are searching. They're searching. So somebody told her, "Hey, there's a tent revival going on,
Oh yeah.
and go for it." And they said, "This man preaches healing and deliverance." So my mom is in New Orleans. My dad is sick. We out there, go to church every now and again when we felt like it. My brothers on dope, working, drinking, smoking. They don't care. We all living foul. So my sisters go to this tent revival because they're really searching for help for my mom. So after they came from the revival, they called me. They said, "Nate," they said, "you got to come hear this man." Well, at this time, um, let me go back, and then I'm gonna come back. When I was 14 years old, I was in church one day, and I was cutting up in the back of the church, and the pastor came up and told me. He said, "Nate, I want you to come up here and say a prayer." Well, I only could see what they used to do, but when I came up to pray, something got on me that day. And man of God, I prayed, and when I finished and opened my eyes, the pastor looked at me, everybody looked at me in the church, and they said, and he looked at me and said, "You're going to be a preacher one day." He said, "I've never heard anybody preach like that." I'm like, this man is crazy. I said, "I'd never be a preacher. Never." So fast forward to all that, back now to where mom is getting some help. My sisters called me. So I'm working in the church. I became a lay minister in the church. And lay minister means that you get to speak on fourth Sundays. You pass to get a break. So I'm finding out who God is slowly, just by going to Bible studies and getting involved in the church. So I'm starting to read my Bible more, and not really having understanding like I do now. And so I became a lay minister. And what was so odd about that is that the way I was preaching, I was drawing more people on fourth Sunday than my pastor was. So now it was bringing friction between me and him, because one Sunday he got up and he addressed the congregation. He said, "All of y'all coming out to hear him, you need to come on the days I preach." Man, it broke my heart. I couldn't understand why. Why was he getting so angry? At me. All I'm doing is preaching, but the people were coming. So my sister said, "I want you to come hear this man preach." And so I went to the tent, me and my wife. Now, granted, I got one foot in the world, one foot in the church. I'm still gambling. I'm still smoking cigarettes. I'm still drinking. But yet on Sundays, I devoted my time to God, not understanding you can't serve two masters.
Sure.
I had no understanding of that, because we was always taught grace. You can do what you want to do. And I'm just being honest. So I had, I'm like, I'm good with God, long as I get up there and preach, say a few words, the people are coming to hear me. So obviously it's something good. But all I was doing was mimicking preachers that I saw in other churches, repeating and regurgitating what they were saying, and felt like I was doing something because people were coming. So Me and my wife, we get in the car. My wife was like, "What are we going down here for?" And I say, "Well, we're gonna go to the casino afterwards." I say, "Don't worry about it." She's like, "Don't, I don't want to be here all day because I want to go to the casino." I'm saying, "All right." So I got my cigarettes in my pocket. We going to see this man in this tent, and so I'm like, I'm already got my dukes up because I'm like, this is a scam. If I see anybody come in a wheelchair and jump up, because everybody was, talking about that,
Yeah.
and so I'm already, resistance with my arms crossed, coming in there, and I sat kind of halfway in the back. So the pastor comes out, and my sister was like, "That's him, that's him." So he had like his little shades on, and he started playing his guitar, and I'm like, what in the world y'all got me at? Because I never have been exposed to anything like that. So I was judging before I knew anything because I had never been in that type of setting before, a holiness setting. So all I was used to was Methodist. All I was used to was that. But man of God, there was something on the inside of me the whole time I was preaching that nobody could understand. And God was revealing things to me because my pastor was like, "Well, how did you get that message? How did you know that happened and that happened?" And because God was using me in a capacity that I wasn't taking serious, but He was showing me things. So this man, Apostle McCoy, came out. He was playing the guitar, and after he finished, he got up and got ready to preach. The man opened up the Bible. And when he opened his mouth, I stood up. My sisters looked at me. And I said, what he's preaching is on the inside of me. That's what I've been hearing. That's what it was like a connection. I said, that's what I've been hearing in my head. That's what I've been feeling in my gut. This is the way he's preaching. I said, that's me. I'm seeing myself. And I stood up the whole time that this man preached, from the time he started to the time he finished. And he walked down the aisle. And he called me out. He said, "Come here, I want to talk to you." My sisters, they were looking at me. My wife looking at me. He said, "Come here, I want to talk to you." He said, "I've never saw you before in my life." He said, "But you have been chosen to preach the word of God from your mother's womb." He said, "People are going to have come from near and far to hear you." He said, "You've been having dreams, and it's been something on the inside of you." And he said, "When I lay hands upon you tonight," he said, "your life is never going to be the same." That man laid hands on me. I don't know what happened. My sisters told me I fell out. But when I got up, man of God, my life has never been the same. That night, I threw them cigarettes out of my pocket. I stopped going to the casino. I stopped drinking. And when I found out 2 days later that he had a church, I was standing on the front stoop waiting for them to come to open the doors. It started like at noon. I was there at 11 o'clock. My wife's like, "Where's you going?" I said, "I got to go hear this man." I said, "Just got to go here." And for a whole year, I sat up underneath Apostle McCoy, learning, understanding for some other church. And he told me, he said, "You're going to have to make a decision." He said, "Because David can't stay in Saul's house." And I was learning so much under him.